Hi, I'm Rona Alexander, and I'm currently chair of the Scottish Refugee Council. And before that, I was on, it wasn't the board, but it was the Scottish Committee of Voluntary Arts Scotland, as it was then. That was what I started with. Well, I knew I was coming up to stepping back from full-time work, and I thought I needed something to keep my head busy and engaged. And I've always had a commitment to a creative practice and the arts and things. So that's why I joined Voluntary Arts Scotland. They're both organisations I knew through my work because I was a funder and we've been involved with both. And they were both organisations whose work I really respected, and the people the staff who I knew there, I thought were doing a great job. And I suppose I thought I can make a contribution here because of my experience as a funder, not as an expert in the field. I don't think you need to be an expert in the field, but as someone who can maybe step back a bit and take a kind of wider and longer view of things, I thought I could make a contribution. And I suppose because I'd been on the other side of the table as a staff member serving a committee, I thought I knew kind of where the boundary lay between what staff do and what non-execs do, and so that I wouldn't be too much of a pain. I think that there can be a temptation to jump into the day-to-day running, but you do have to trust the staff, but be a critical friend, I would say. With the chief executive, it's a different kind of relationship than a direct line management that you would have experienced in your work, because you're not there every day and you don't see everything and you can't. And so you've got to develop a relationship of trust where they're going to flag up where things are risks or not going as well as they want. But you've also got to be able to ask the right questions, I suppose, and offer some degree of both support but also performance management. So those kind of skills, I think, really are important when you're in the chair role anyway. I joined the board first and then I became vice chair, and then suddenly I was chair. So it wasn't something I'd really thought that I was joining the board to be chair. So I'd been around and seen how the previous chairs had operated. And I suppose I'd learned things that seemed to work for them and things that weren't working quite as well. So I do like a sort of formal once a month, good long sit down and talk. But we also have a lot of ad hoc WhatsApps, emails, whatever is needed about what's going on, and also really good relationship with the kind of people supporting the chief executive is really important, so that you can get the diary time and know what's going on for them, so you're coming in at the right moments, I guess I would say. So those things I've found important. Yeah, and generally I think we've got a good relationship. There's always surprises coming. There's always challenges coming. I think that you've got to sort of be prepared for that, because you won't know the detail. But um, I've been surprised, I suppose, about how staff in the organisation might view the board as some kind of other species, and how hard you should work to be accepted as a normal human being. And so how much effort that I want to put into that, because I want to be seen as approachable and someone people who can tell their challenges and their triumphs too. Really, that's what I'm doing it for, is to understand what people are getting out of it and support them. So yeah, that has surprised me. But I guess that relies on you as a board member, is not to jump on every issue you might be told in passing and think that you're there to resolve it. You're not. Whereas I suppose I feel a lot of us are maybe part of the lucky generation who've been able to step back from full-time work earlier than others will be able to do in future, but we've still got a lot to give, so that's a good thing. But you want a whole load of diverse opinions and experiences around the table. And so for some people, it's a great way to add to their CV, and because they get experience outside whatever their chosen sector or specialism is. For others, it's like me, it's a way of keeping contributing when they've finished work. And I think it's just really important, I suppose, for accountability of organisations that there are those diverse perspectives around the table. I think sometimes in Scotland and in the voluntary sector, people can be quite a long time in roles, and organisations can maybe get a little bit stuck in their ways. So people from the outside with new ideas or questions and contributions can be helpful. I suppose I hadn't, articulated that as one of my aims, but it was implicitly one of the aims that I had in my term was, if that was what we were saying in our strategic plan, that nothing for refugees without refugees, the board should reflect that more. And so both increasing the number and the confidence and skills of the people with lived experience to fully contribute to the board has been something that I've been keen to see in my 3 years. And it just can't be tokenism. That's what I would say. It just can't be for a bum on the seat around the table. And the other thing we've learned is you have to start where people are at with our constituents of people in the asylum system or refugees. They may not have a stable home. They may not have any internet. There are a whole load of things you need to ask people. What will help you do this role fully and properly? What can we provide within our memorandum and articles or whatever to allow you to contribute fully? So we've learned that along the way, and I think now we've both got really good induction and buddying, and we sort out all the practicalities for people so that they can contribute fully. I hope that's what people would say if they were asked anyway. But it can't be tokenism, and you have to really value that experience as much as your lawyers or accountants or your other people around the table, and think this is really telling us something that we need to hear. With increasing the number of people and from refugee backgrounds and where they are in the system, that has really made me think about that. And I mean, it's not necessarily that people should be paid a certain amount for turning up at any meeting, but the kind of very strictest charity rule that trustees can't in any way benefit from and that's not charity law, but it's in a lot of people's constitutions, including ours, that no trustee can benefit from the charitable funds. That becomes a bar to people taking part, because we've had trustees who previously would support our work in small ways and get a small stipend for it, which currently they are disbarred from, which just seems wrong to me. So, as I say, I think it's incumbent on the trustees to have a good look at their constitution, their memoirs now and again, and think, is this right for the world we're living in now? We have to obviously have safeguards for our reputation and for funds, and be aware of risks. But I do think having a good look at it now and again is really worthwhile. I wouldn't want to be paid as chair, but I think if somebody wasn't, in a strong financial position and was giving the sort of time that I'm giving, that would be a bar to them, because it's at least 1 day a week, but some days it's 3 and some weeks it's none. So I noticed the difference in each step, and I don't think I was properly prepared for it, to be honest. And again, that's something, I'm coming to the end of my term, and I'm working with the chief executive's executive assistant to have a proper planned handover and succession plan, so that whoever is coming in knows that what they're taking on, and we have a handover, because I don't think I realised really quite how much work it could be. Now, that could be about my personal style. I might be getting more involved than other people would need or want to be. But there are when I was re-looking at the kind of role profile, there's just quite a lot of things that you have to keep an eye on, if not be in depth and to have on your radar sort of things. So yeah, I think prep is a really good idea, and a good succession plan is definitely worth having. I think that's definitely can be the case. And maybe it's back to that thing of not thinking that we're normal human beings, that you can ask to do things. So, and it's a kind of a conversation I've had with the senior staff a few times, is if you don't ask board members to do things that are within their skill set, they'll find somewhere else to make a contribution, because I think we only do it because we feel we want to make a contribution. So, but sometimes they just don't have the time to think that little bit laterally. I keep encouraging them. Yeah, I think I would spend more time with maybe people who aren't the senior management team, just a little bit more time on the floor, as it were, understanding the sort of basic functions of the organisation. Not to be critiquing them, but just to know how the organisation works, so that then when you're making um, suggestions or comments or something, it's based on that kind of understanding rather than another organisation that you've come from. Because I think that can be frustrating for staff if they think, but it's not like that here and it can't be like that here. Take a good look at how the role is described. Have a good look at the accounts of the organisation. You don't want to step into something that's going to immediately be a crisis. I wouldn't say, although it's difficult for charities at the moment. Make sure you feel a kind of good connection, both with the cause, but the people that you meet through the interview process, or whatever it is. Take what training they offer, be available to do that, and take your time. Boards often don't meet very often, so it takes a while to know what your contribution can be, and so don't feel pressured to make a big splash at your first meeting. Listen to how things are going, and connect with your chair, I would say, and give them feedback and ask them for feedback, and hopefully within 6 months you'll be comfortable and know that you're making a difference. I get a huge amount from getting to know the people, the staff, and the people that we work with, the kind of events that we organise through Refugee Festival and so on, and just seeing that incredible difference it makes to people. That's what I get an enormous amount out of. I get a lot out of feeling I am supporting the chief executive. I mean, probably not perfectly or in a way that he might want all the time, but yeah, that gives me a sense of self-worth. And as you know, as I'm coming to the end of my term, I'm thinking, okay, Rona, what's going to get you up in the morning when you're not doing this anymore? Because it is very, very, very motivating. And I suppose it's a bit like being a grandparent, isn't it? You're not having to do all the daily grunt work, if you like, but you get some of the reward of being part of it and making a contribution. So that's how I look at it.